The whole drive for all of these countries is to find a way to trade in local currencies. In fact, they voted, they have agreed to promote using local currencies in trade and financial transactions, specifically to reduce reliance on the dollar. They have publicly come out and said that.
This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty in Finance, and this is the Miles Franklin Weekly Special for August 21st through August 28th, 2023, while supplies last. This week we feature silver buffalo rounds and 10-ounce silver Asahi bars, both at just $2.50 over spot. The silver buffalo is made by various private mints across the U.S., with the design based on James Earl Fraser's iconic buffalo nickel. They are highly recognizable and one of the most trusted types of bullion rounds available. These 3/9 fine rounds come 20 to a tube and 500 to a box. And at just $2.50 over spot, they offer unparalleled liquidity at a price lower than many high-volume bars. Next, the Asahi refinery continues the legacy of famed private mint Johnson Matthey, which they purchased in 2015, and refined with the same attention to detail, cementing their status as an LBMA-certified supplier. Their 10-ounce bars are 3/9 fine and on sale for just $2.50 over spot per ounce. They are also IRA eligible. If you'd like to learn more about a precious metals IRA, call us, and we'll be happy to help you in that process. To order our specials or any of the many other options we have available, call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237. We're available after hours and on weekends, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Welcome back to Liberty in Finance. We're always glad to have this returning guest. We're jumping on with a special update from Andy Schectman, the CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals, this Friday, August 25th, 2023. Andy, thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, of course. Sorry I couldn't do it by video, but for sure it's always good to be here. It's an important time.
Not a problem, and we appreciate that you even floated this invite out to us when we interviewed you for a weekly market update on Tuesday this week, because you've been speaking for some time about the importance of the BRICS plus nations and their coalition that is forming outside the Western banking system. You warned those from the main stage where you were one of the key speakers at the Rule Symposium on Resource Investing just a few weeks ago in Boca Raton, Florida, that a linchpin that could be the critical mass that basically is the thing that tips the scales here for the world's financial world reserve currency is the inclusion of Saudi Arabia in the BRICS Plus nation, which had been discussed and floated about, but not actually announced until now. Can you tell us what we know and why you see this as such a critical tipping point for the sort of the critical mass of the world pivot away from the dollar?
Well, yeah, I mean, to speak of the BRICS and ignore Saudi Arabia is, that's missing the entire picture. That's like peanut butter with no jelly. I mean, the whole de-dollarization thing, I think it in and of itself with the BRICS and their settling trade or oil or whatever it may be, energy in their local currencies is one thing. But when you call into question the entire linchpin of the dollar hegemony, that being the fact that Saudi Arabia, in an exchange for protection, has since 1974 accepted only dollars, and also by extension OPEC, only dollars for the settlement of oil. That has created a synthetic demand for the dollar that has really given us the exorbitant privilege of being the sole settlement currency for oil and in essence the reserve currency. Now, it's a little deeper than that because of our bond market, but let us simply say that the synthetic demand where every country in the world said own dollars to buy oil is significant enough to make us the world reserve currency. And when you see these nations joining together, and in particular looking at the Belt Road Initiative, every single OPEC country, including Saudi Arabia, when you see Saudi Arabia be formally admitted into the BRICS, along with applying to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, where every one of their members the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which aren't already in BRICS. They were all invited to this BRICS summit. It's the largest financial and military regional organization in the world. And apply to the BRICS New Development Bank and tell folks in Davos that they're open to taking other currencies for oil. After all, President Biden signed an executive order to go green by 2050, 50% by 2030. We are signaling to them, not only in the weaponizing of the dollar, that it may be dangerous to not be on our side, but also in our overt intentions to go green. And when you see Saudi Arabia now formally be accepted into this union that is growing along with Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates, you're talking just this alone, 36% of GDP and 47 global GDP and 47% of the world's population. This is a trend that is becoming very formidable. This is a trend that is encompassing the majority of all of the oil producing countries in the Middle East. And when you realize that, you got Xi Jinping there saying it's necessary for these countries to not only to promote a reform of the monetary system, the international monetary and financial system, but the whole drive for all of these countries is to find a way to trade in local currencies. In fact, they voted. They have agreed to promote using local currencies in trade and financial transactions, specifically to reduce reliance on the dollar. They have publicly come out and said that. And this is something that is done, that it's very real. And while it's not going to be all at once, I will continue with the theory of logarithmic decay. Little by little, 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 then bang. When is the bang? Don't know. When is the all at once? We're on a river and there are falls up ahead. Don't know where they are. I can hear it. We're starting to move a little faster, but when do we hit those falls? I don't know. But I can tell you that Saudi Arabia joining the BRICS formally, along with all of their other unions and memberships, along with our admission of going green and undoubtedly going to choose inflation over austerity before the music stops, the handwriting is on the wall. So yeah, it's a huge day, one to mark on your calendar, remember where you were, and I guess it starts a new chapter in where we are as a global monetary currency.
As we have discussed before, there is a litany of other occurrences where countries, whether it was Libya or others, had turned away from, or Iraq, had turned away from solely selling oil in the U.S. dollar, as was agreed at the Bretton Woods Agreement following the end of World War II. And all of those previous occurrences met with immediate and forceful response. There is some debate about from whom, but there are several that say it's from the U.S. as far as suddenly there was a regime change and that ruler who made that decision was no longer among the living. And in this case, this has been a holdout. The Saudi Arabia, as you have pointed out, is a linchpin, is the sort of the focal hub of that agreement that has maintained the U.S.'s position and the dollar's position specifically. Do you foresee, as you've been forecasting, that when this event occurs, that this will be an acceleration of the realization by not only U.S. Members of the financial system, but also globally, that there is a clear trend in history unfolding and people needing to get, or countries needing to get aligned on the side of that trend that they want to be on?
Well, yeah, but that's what this is all about, safety in numbers. And that's why, I'm sure it was probably decided quite some time ago that Saudi Arabia was going to be, Saudi Arabia and Iran being the key to all of this, I think, and they kept it under wraps. But look, and this is no question, in my opinion, why they've also buddied up with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They're in bed with China and with Russia, two of the three largest nuclear arsenals in the world. And unless, our leaders are crazy enough to drag us into a real war, one that, you're dealing with military might that far exceeds ours when you put those two together. And I don't care what you say about a conventional war or this or that, in terms of Russia. These are both countries that have hypersonic missiles. And if you cross the line, that's in many ways, I can't imagine that wouldn't be viewed any differently than it would be by attacking a NATO country. Now, I know that isn't, or doing something within a regime change within a NATO country from another country. Now, maybe they don't have a doctrine signed. Maybe they do. I don't know the way that the West does. But my point is, I think just to look at the BRICS as a currency or as a trade union, I think is a mistake. And that's part of the reason why I highlight the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is the largest regional financial and military organization in the world. They highlight the military aspect of it. So, I think it would be very dangerous this time to do that. I will admit, I think certainly, what is it, MBS, I think it is, he's brave, he's courageous. I think it would be very dangerous to do what he's doing, obviously, in the light of what you're saying, but, there's no question that all of these countries have found safety in numbers, many of which would have never have dreamed of breaking free, without this growing chorus of, this growing union of countries to stand behind them.
Well, we wanted to reach out and get your view on this, since you've been the one who's been kind of leading the rallying cry for people to wake up and be aware of this trend that's happening right underneath our noses, and yet is not being prominently discussed on most of the Western financial press. So thank you so much for taking time on this out of cycle added interview for this quick update for our viewers. And as always, we appreciate your presence here with us. Any further last thought you'd like to leave with our viewers?
I just think that this is going to be a trend that will certainly accelerate. It may not accelerate in the speed at which we've all been accustomed to instant gratification over the last several years because of insane money printing and suppression of interest rates that created all of these distortions that enabled asset prices to move in a way that was not normal. But indeed, this is not about how fast it happens. It is about the probability or the inevitability of things dramatically changing for the dollar. And the greater this union becomes, the stronger it becomes, the more countries that express interest in joining, the fact that they will at some point issue a common settlement currency, a BRICS currency. All of these things to me are shifting from probabilities to almost certainty. And I think it's important to keep your eye on the ball. It's not just what's happening here, it's what's happening all around the world. So my commitment to you, Dunnigan, has always been to see this through. And I think this is just the very, very beginning. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to talk about. And I appreciate not only the ability to get out here and talk, but to do it with you and all of your listeners. It's been great, and I continue to look forward every Tuesday to doing our talks, and that won't change this next Tuesday as well.
Excellent. And just a reminder for all of us that we've talked about this, you and I, with our viewers several times in the past, about normalcy bias and how it can essentially blind us or keep us lulled to sleep when major things are happening that we need to be aware and prepared ahead of. And this is a very good example of that. If anything would wake us out of normalcy bias, it's that this is, in fact, unprecedented in the post-World War II era, what is happening right now, and as evidenced by specifically Saudi Arabia joining the BRICS.
And you know what, Dunnigan, real quick, one last comment on that. The shame of it all is that, there are many times, sorry for the background noise, there are many times when I will ask people what makes the dollar the world reserve currency, and so few people know, so few people that I've met, even those that are very, very well read in most areas of life, they don't understand that a large majority of what makes the dollar the world reserve currency is the protection of the Saudi kingdom is the relationship we've had with the Saudi kingdom and OPEC since 1974. To misunderstand or to not fully grasp the severity of, or the seriousness of potentially losing the peg to oil, the dollar peg, it is as significant of an event as any of us will ultimately have ever, I think, been a part of before it's all said and done. So, yeah, you're right. And it's just nice to be able to be on here with you and talking about it.
Yeah, as the character Ian says to Ben Gates in National Treasure in Trinity Church near the climax of the movie, he says, "I don't think you appreciate the gravity of this situation." So I take that to heart, and so do our viewers, and we're grateful for you giving us the early warning, because as Brad Harris of Full Spectrum Survival says, the official warning will always come too late. So you've been giving us the unofficial warning for some time now, and it's playing out just exactly as you foresaw. Andy, as always, thanks for joining us on Liberty and Finance.
Yeah, my pleasure. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Take care, Dunnigan.
Miles Franklin Precious Metals is one of America's oldest and most trusted bullion dealers. Miles Franklin is A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, licensed and bonded, and has 0 complaints ever registered. Here at Liberty and Finance, we are licensed brokers with Miles Franklin. To order, simply call us, discuss your needs, and we can let you know our live inventory, prices, and availability, and lock in your order over the phone. Once your order is locked, the price is held for you regardless of market fluctuations, and the metals are reserved for you awaiting your settled payment. Within 1 business day of ordering, you will receive an email invoice detailing the order and payment instructions. Miles Franklin accepts payments by bank wire, ACH or electronic check, money order, check mailed priority mail, and cryptocurrency. The fastest forms of payment are bank wire and cryptocurrency. Upon settled payment, metals will ship out within 3 to 5 business days. You will receive tracking information via email. Domestic shipping charges are $15 for any order under 500 ounces of silver or 10 ounces of gold. For orders larger than that, domestic shipping is free. The package will be boxed, fully insured, and labeled discreetly, with no indication of the contents inside. For your privacy, the name Miles Franklin will not even be on the package. To talk to myself, Kaiser, my brother Elijah, or my father Dunnigan, call 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.